The year was 1492. A man named Christopher Columbus embarked on a journey that would forever alter the course of human history. Little did he know his quest for a westward route to Asia would lead him to shores unknown. This voyage marked the beginning of an era. It was an era of exploration, discovery, and sadly, conquest. For the indigenous populations of the Americas, Columbus's arrival would signal not a new beginning, but the beginning of the end. It was the start of an era of colonization, exploitation, and the decimation of their cultures and way of life. Columbus's voyage was a turning point in time. It connected two worlds separated by vast oceans. This connection had profound and lasting consequences, both positive and negative, that continue to shape our world today. It is a history fraught with complexities. We must grapple with both the triumphs and tragedies that unfolded in the wake of this fateful encounter. Born in Genoa, Italy in 1451, Christopher Columbus was a man of his time. He was driven by ambition, a thirst for adventure, and a desire to make his mark on the world. The late 15th century was the age of exploration. European powers, particularly Spain and Portugal, were eager to find new sea routes to the east. The East promised riches in the form of spices, silks, and gold. Columbus, like many of his contemporaries, believed that the world was round. He was convinced that by sailing west across the Atlantic Ocean, he could find a shorter route to Asia. He underestimated the true size of the Earth. He was unaware of the existence of the American continents. Armed with unwavering conviction and the support of the Spanish crown, Columbus set sail. He embarked on a journey into the vast unknown, a journey that would change the world forever. The journey across the Atlantic was fraught with peril. Columbus and his crew faced treacherous storms, dwindling supplies, and the psychological strain of navigating uncharted waters. Weeks turned into months. The vastness of the ocean tested the limits of their endurance. Mutiny simmered among the crew, their hope dwindling with each passing day. Columbus, however, remained steadfast in his belief that they would find land. Finally, after more than 2 months at sea, a glimmer of hope appeared on the horizon. On October 12, 1492, a lookout on the Pinta, one of Columbus's 3 ships, spotted land. The sight of lush green islands teeming with life filled them with relief and exhilaration. They had reached land, but little did they know, it was not the east they sought, but a new world. Section 4, Land Ahoy. First encounters and their immediate aftermath. The islands Columbus first encountered are believed to be part of the Bahamas. He named them the Indies, believing he had reached the East Indies. He called the indigenous people he encountered Indians, a misnomer that has persisted for centuries. These were the Taino people, an Arawak-speaking group who had inhabited these islands for generations. The initial interactions between Columbus and the Taino were seemingly peaceful. The Taino, known for their hospitality, welcomed the newcomers. They exchanged gifts. Columbus, however, saw not only a new land but also an opportunity. He claimed the land for Spain and saw the Taino as a source of labor and potential converts to Christianity. This marked the beginning of a tragic chapter in the history of the Americas. Section 5. Debunking the myth Columbus, hero or catalyst of catastrophe. For centuries, Christopher Columbus has been lauded as a hero, a visionary explorer who discovered America. Statues were erected in his honor, and his name adorns cities, streets, and institutions across the globe. However, this heroic portrayal stands in stark contrast to the reality of his legacy. Columbus's arrival in the Americas triggered a chain of events that had devastating consequences for the indigenous populations. The Spanish, driven by a lust for gold and a belief in their own superiority, enslaved the Taino people. They forced them to work in mines and on plantations. European diseases, to which the indigenous people had no immunity, swept through the islands like wildfire. Within decades of Columbus's arrival, the once thriving Taino population was decimated. This pattern of conquest, exploitation, and disease repeated itself across the Americas as European colonization spread. What Columbus initiated was not discovery, but an era of colonialism that resulted in the suffering and death of millions of indigenous people. Section 6, Columbus Day, or Indigenous Peoples Day, a reckoning with history. The celebration of Columbus Day, traditionally observed on October 12th, has become increasingly controversial in recent years. What was once a day to commemorate Columbus's voyage has become a focal point for a long overdue reckoning with history. Many people, particularly those from indigenous communities, view Columbus Day not as a celebration but as a reminder of the violence, oppression, and cultural genocide that followed his arrival. There is a growing movement to replace Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. This day serves as an opportunity to honor the histories, cultures, and resilience of indigenous people across the Americas. It's a day to acknowledge the injustices they have faced and to celebrate their contributions to the world. The shift from Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day is a reflection of a broader societal shift towards greater historical awareness and a recognition of the importance of telling a more inclusive and accurate story of the past. Section 7. The Enduring Legacy, a Call for Truth and Reconciliation. Christopher Columbus's voyages were a pivotal moment in human history. They ushered in an era of global interconnectedness, but also an era of colonialism, exploitation, and cultural destruction. His legacy is complex and contested, a reminder that history is not always black and white. As we move forward, it is imperative that we engage with history truthfully and empathetically. We must acknowledge the harm inflicted upon indigenous communities in the name of progress and exploration. The shift from Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day is a step in the right direction, but it is only a start. We must continue to listen to the voices of indigenous communities, learn from their histories, and work towards a future where their cultures and rights are respected and celebrated. Only then can we begin to heal the wounds of the past and create a more just and equitable future for all.